Last night we were investigating an incident, reported threats that may have involved a weapon. Then a student came forward today and approached school administrators, reported that one of those people involved in that incident last night may have been seen on school property. As a result of this indirect threat that occurred last night and this person possibly being here, the school was put into a secure mode, and the school and ourselves immediately went to work to make sure, number one, that the students were safe, and number two, that they weren't in any future imminent danger. We quickly developed a couple of people who we were looking for even last night. We were able to find those suspects and determine their locations, determine that they were not in the school property, and that there was no imminent threat to the student safety. The person who reported this incident was further questioned, and we were able to determine that some of these events may not have happened the way they were originally reported.
Um, how did you guys determine that the person that they thought they may have seen on property wasn't here? I mean, what was the need for secure mode if they weren't here?
The information was that they were here, so we had to put the students in the most safest mode that we possibly could get them until we could determine that, in fact, uh, that these persons who may have done a threat or may have been on school with weapons, until we knew exactly where their whereabouts were, and were able to determine whether they had attempted to come to the school property or were even here. We were able to determine that they were never here.
Okay, so you guys got notification this morning, or you knew last night?
The incident that brings us here today was reported today. The threats complaint happened last night.
All right. Can you talk a little bit about how the school, what the school did today to kind of make sure everybody was safe?
Well, in regards to our school safety protocols and procedures, once we received a report, information that came in late this morning of the report of information of a student or a person that would have been identified as information coming in, we followed our protocols and procedures and went into a secure mode. And under the direction of Rich Giddings, our campus and district security director, went into the procedures of making sure that all of our staff and students followed those protocols, procedures, and the police were informed and began the investigation and have arrived at the conclusions that he just shared with you, and where we are right now, and which it has been resolved, and we are no longer in a secure mode.
When this threat came in, how serious did you guys take it? Did you guys just kind of hop into action?
What we do is when any type of a situation like this is reported by administration to any other person, we have a set of protocols which we follow. And obviously it's student safety is number one, and our protocol was to immediately go into a secure mode, and by doing so it gave us the opportunity then to inform local law enforcement, who came over with their set of plans, and we moved forward. And while in the process of moving forward, the day ran as normal, except we have a few restrictions because of secure mode, and students follow those restrictions because that is part of the plans that we practice and drill throughout the year. And as a result, it gave law enforcement the opportunity to run down their leads and investigations, like Officer Gulnick told you. And in doing so, we were able to lift the secure mode approximately 2.5 hours after it was put on, once we had all of the viable information.
Why secure mode and not a lockdown?
Looking at what we had, that's part of the protocols and procedures for going into that particular mode, was because of the information that was brought forward to us.
So it just kind of
Depends on the circumstances for the protocol that we follow, and we follow a very strict set of guidelines that we got from a company called Critical Incident Management Corporation out of Saginaw, that we follow their guidelines.
So were you guys pretty pleased about how everything was handled today?
Absolutely. I think we kept our day as normal as possible, and that's the whole purpose of a secure mode, is to run as normal as possible, but keep our kids safe and protected, and our kids move about as normal. They're used to the drills that happen, and I think if you were to look at today, it was just a rather normal day, except they couldn't leave campus at lunch.
Were you pleased with that?
Absolutely. Again, I think that as Rich Giddings has shared here, that it is something that we have prepared for, drilled for. Student and staff safety is first and utmost something that we take very seriously here at Cadillac Area Public Schools, and everything has gone as we have prepared and drilled for. Students and staff were not in any imminent danger here. We were very thankful for our police force. We worked hand in hand together with them, and things have gone off as expected. And we're very pleased, with the outcome today, that it has gone through as well as could be possibly expected. So we're back on track, and school is in session.
Golnick, I have one more question for you. I know you can't get into too much about the threat, but I had heard something about a gun being involved or may have been on campus. Any merit to that?
Last night's threat did involve a report of a weapon. I'm not really prepared to say exactly what it was, but due to the fact that it was a weapon and then the person who was making the threat against a student off campus after school hours yesterday was possibly seen here, we just took the threat to mean it could have been any weapon. I think it's really important to understand that there was no event here at all today. There was information, and our job was to prevent any events from occurring, and we were fortunate enough and very pleased that no event did take place today. Merely the information that led us to be precautionary and emphasize student safety. And so although it looked like an awful lot went down today, it really was a relatively normal day inside the walls of the school while we were able to conduct an investigation and ensure the student safety.
Anything else you guys want to add?
No.
Sorry,
So,
Brandon.
Yeah, I have a question.
Didn't know you're in town. What you got there, Jim?
How were parents notified, and if parents weren't notified, what could they do to remedy that?
I'll let you continue your office.
Actually, we have a process in place where we send out, what do I want to call it?
Electronic messaging.
Yeah, what is it? Through Bright Arrow.
Yeah.
Electronic messaging that goes through a Bright Arrow report for all of our parents that are signed up through that, where we notified them that we were in a secure mode. We gave them some information as we're updated, and keep them informed as best as possible as information becomes available.
One of the other things we do too is we have a standard statement at each one of our administrative assistants' desks if somebody should call that is not enrolled or subscribed to our instant messenger type of system is what it is.
Okay.
We try to send that information out as soon as we deem from law enforcement that we can release certain events, and that's what we did. Keeping them informed as quickly as possible, yet giving law enforcement the opportunity to do what they needed to do to determine what we had on our hands.
Okay. And the person who is of concern here, can you say whether that's a student or a former student?
That was reported as possibly being a threat, or that reported the threat?
The person that was possibly a threat.
If that person may not exist.
Well, the two that we were able to lay eyes on, I believe, are former students, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe so. Former students that have moved on.
Yeah. I mean, they were former students, but it was determined that they did absolutely nothing wrong today. The incident that was reported last night is still under investigation, and we're still unsure as to exactly the events that occurred last night. It was merely a report that has not yet been verified.
Okay. All right, and the persons who were threatened, those were students or former students?
Last night?
Yeah.
Those would have been students who were after school and off campus.
Okay.
And there was more than one?
That I don't know. I'm going to say student.
I would say student.
Yeah, I know I just talked plural there, but